Hey guys, what's up? So before I moved to New York, I used to live in Tel Aviv, and I remember very vividly kind of trying to understand how to solo over songs, how to solo over jazz standards. And there seems to be a huge gap between, playing on a blues or kind of like a song that has one center so you can kind of play with pentatonic or one scale, and into these songs that are harmonically much more complex. And I didn't really understand at that time how to go about it. What I'm going to do today is work on 8 points of how to solo over a jazz song from A to Z. If this backing track is helpful, you can check it out on my Patreon. Thank you so much. 1. Zoom out. Oof, effects, love it. So basically what I'm suggesting is that we want to be able to understand the general key of the song and maybe even the pentatonic of that center. So for example, if we're taking Solar, a song in C minor that definitely has quite strong and clear modulations because we're going to E flat, we're going to D flat, but still the song is in the key of C minor. So if I'm playing effects, if I'm playing C minor pentatonic on that song, it's gonna sound pretty good. What I'm gonna do right now is play the song and only solo using C minor pentatonic. Check it out. Now in this solo, of course, I was only using 5 notes, just the pentatonic scale, and I did want to express more and I was holding myself back. But what I'm trying to prove is even with 5 notes, we can still create a solo that is interesting and expressing somehow the harmonic progression. 2. Harmonic analysis. For me, this is not a theoretical thing, but a very practical thing because I want to understand what's happening there. I want to see what are the centers and what are the points of gravity of this song. So we're starting with C minor, could be C minor 6 or even C minor major, but it's a tonic center. We are in the key of C minor. And then we're gravitating toward the 4, so we're playing a 2-5-1, basically reinforcing the 4th degree by playing the C7, that's a secondary dominant. And then we're playing again the same kind of idea, the same secondary dominant, and then we're playing a 2-5-1 to E flat, and then the same trick, 2-5-1 to D flat, and then a 2-5-1 back home. Now, what we understand and what we can see here is we have the C minor center, and then we're going to F major in a very clear way, and we're going to E flat major in a very clear way. Now E flat and C minor are very good friends because C minor and E flat are sharing all the notes. So it's basically, if you know C minor, you also know E flat and vice versa. Then we're going to D flat major, which is definitely a different key, and then 2-5-1, again reinforcing that point of gravity and leading us to the 1. This song is a 12-bar form, which is basically reminding us very much of a blues because we are going to that 4 chord, although it's major 7, but still the 4 chord like the blues. So it's kind of a bluesy song, if you will, which also helps hearing it to me a little bit. Now, why is this important? It's important because we know that we need to practice C minor, we need to practice F major, E flat major, and D flat major. If we know those 4 keys, we can solo on this song. We need to know these keys pretty flexibly. So it's not just being able to play, C minor and then being like, I can only play C minor here and that's it. I need to be able to connect the C minor to the F, to the E flat, to the D flat, etc. So I'll take one area of the guitar, for example, this area, and I would switch between the centers. I'll play chord notes, for example. C minor, 2-5 to F, basically F major, F minor, E flat, D flat, still D flat, back to C minor. So, of course, to do that, we need to know all the positions really well. We need to understand what notes we're playing and switching it. So this is, of course, a lot of work, but if you want to solo comfortably, you definitely want to check this out. 3. Know the melody. This is something that I heard many times, but it took me a second to really figure it out. I mean really hearing it, like being able to play it on 1 string, on 2 strings, in different keys, in different areas of the guitar, and understanding how each note is relating to the center. So hearing this C and really being like, do, si, hearing that, la, sol, la, si, la, like really feeling the tension and release, and how the chromatic notes are really surrounding those important notes of the triads. Because in this song you can really see how the melody is really articulating the chord, and you get a lot of those threes in the melody. So really learning it and being able to play it in a few areas. For example, sometimes from that uncomfortable place, trying to figure out and finding it, we learn a lot. We see what we don't hear, and we see what we need to work on. So learning the melody really informs us, because we want to solo and have the melody in mind, because the melody is not just the melody is also the chords. By knowing the melody, we also know the chords. 4. Know the harmonic progression by heart. So what I mean by that is not just saying like, oh, it's solar and it's C minor, G minor, C7, etc. No, I want to know this is the 1. So 1, because we're in C minor, so this is the 1 chord. This is my point of gravity. And then 2-5 to the 4, 2-5 to the 3, 2-5 to the flat 2, and then 2-5 back home. So this is a quick reduction, but this is really what's happening there harmonically. And not only that, by doing this and tagging it again and again, you learn how this sounds, but when you're soloing, you would be more clear. That's how I feel about it. And then all the other songs are basically variations on that. So if you memorize the sound of the 4 or the sound of flat 2, you got it, you know it, and then you start seeing it in music, in the guitar, in the world. So I think it's super important to tag that information, and then once that's clear, I will start doing it in other keys. So be like, okay, let's play Solar in the key of G minor. Yes, maybe you're not going to play that song tomorrow at a jam in G minor, maybe you will, but by doing it, you are getting stronger. And this will make C minor also easier. So I would be inclined to really work on the melody and the chords in a few other keys. 5. Zoom into anchor points. Each song has more important points and less important points, and by identifying them, we can be a little more at ease and take our time. With this song specifically, I think, like, again, articulating the C7 going to F is important. Articulating the B flat 7 to E flat, the A flat 7 into D flat, and then the G7. The 2s are not as important. You can articulate them as well, but what's important for me is like really seeing that change from minor into major, dominant, then to F. I feel like this song is maybe a little quicker in terms of transition, and the transition are also kind of further apart because we are going from F to E flat to D flat, which is very different keys, and in this case we have to articulate it. Sometimes with the blues, for example, we can kind of chill and have more time. Specifically, I wanted to bring this song so it's a little more challenging for you guys, but also you can see the framework of how we're going about it step by step. Right now I'm going to play the song. I'm going to use C pentatonic, and then I'm going to highlight those little moments that we're changing the center. A lot of times playing less information is really helpful because we don't need to play a stream of 60 notes at all times, but we still articulate and make music that is relevant because we are connected to the song, the melody, and the chords. 6. Know your triads. Know the 1, 3, 5 for each one of the chords very clearly. So this is some technical work that we need to do, and really in order to see that framework on the guitar. It's technical, but also you need to put it in context. So I would take the song Solar and try to make sure I can articulate each one of the triads on the song in time. So again, of course, like the scales, you need to know the framework. You need to see them on the positions on the fingerboard, and then start practicing in time. If this is too fast, take it slower. If this is too fast again, take it even slower. It's not a problem, but make sure it's in time and it's on the form. So you keep kind of hitting that element of this is a song, this is a creative thing that I'm working on, and this is the framework that I'm utilizing. 1, 3, 5 on the form. F minor, B flat, E flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G7. Now, I'm playing it right now a little fast, so I would practice much slower, and you can also do, instead of half notes, you can do quarter notes or 8 notes. That's what I would do, and that's what I do actually when I practice over these songs. Again, making sure I can play a sequence of quarter notes, half notes, and 8 notes over the triads 1, 3, 5 on the song. 7. I guess it's kind of convenient that it's also number 7 because we need to add the 7. So playing 1, 3, 5, 7 of the chords on the form. Check it out. And then the next step for that, you can use the 1, 3, 5, 7, but also soloing. So this was kind of technical. I was just playing 1, 3, 5, 7, switching the chords in time and playing it on the form. But now I'm gonna chill out. So I'm not gonna play all the half notes, quarter notes, or 8 notes, whatever I'm choosing, but I'm just gonna switch between the subdivision to create music, but only with 1, 3, 5, 7. Let's try. So it's almost sounding like jazz. I'm playing right now super exercise. It's not real solo yet, but it's getting there. And I think by being able to articulate the 1, 3, 5, 7 over the form and creating different rhythms, if you can do that, you can pretty much zoom in a pretty decent way to that chord and chords over the form. 8. Here I'm going to add chromatic notes to the triads, to the 1, 3, 5, and chromatic notes to the 1, 3, 5, 7. Now this is really basically jazz. So I am thinking about the center, C minor, C pentatonic, and I am thinking about the scales, F major, E flat, but I'm also very aware of the melody and the chord at hand. So I am articulating E flat minor or A flat 7 and adding chromatic notes. So, you know, some people think it's a really hard task to do because there are so many chords flying around all the time, but the truth is it's a language. Really try it. Just articulating the chords. So you see, I'm really taking those ideas of the scale, the triads, the chromatic notes of the 1, 3, 5 and 1, 3, 5, 7 and making kind of a big salad out of it. Of course, it takes time and it's a language. So listening, transcribing, all this process is super important. But I think breaking down the framework of what we need to know. So again, scales, arpeggios, melody, harmony. If we work on this in a very realistic, in a very honest way, we will get better today and tomorrow. And it's a process that takes time, but you can do it. So it's just about clarity. Be clear with yourself and be honest if you hear this or not. And if you don't, it's fine. Just practice what it is that you're not clear about. And if you do that every day, you will crush it. I promise. Thank you so much for listening and taking the time. I hope this was interesting. If you know someone that this information might help her or him, please share it with a friend or an enemy. And I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.